just so you guys can, I'm going to be sending this for people who couldn't make it today. I'm going to be sharing my screen, but first, let me pause my robot because it just started going, I guess at 5 o'clock. In the meantime, I'd love to know where you guys are at, which part of the country or the world, because we've had some international folks who wanted to participate on the webinar. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you guys. And today's presentation will be approximately 45 minutes. This is the second session for implementing public display communication boards. And last time we were over 1 hour. There is a lot of information to cover. So I'm going to be going through this faster. The presentation, usually I give it with my colleague, Rami Salami. She is Smarty Symbols Sales Director. Both of us are speech language pathologists. I am Smarty Symbols founder and CEO, and my name is Barbara Fernandez. As far as who we are as a company, Smarty Symbols is a company dedicated to supporting emerging communicators. And we do this through a library of over 30,000 modern, diverse, and inclusive symbols. We have a user-friendly custom resource creation application. And we have now communication boards for community inclusion. And we have personalization and customization services of those communication boards. Now, my business, we really, from the beginning, we truly believe in inclusion and diversity. So we have something we call character of choice. And you're meeting some of our characters here, Will, Maria, John, Violet, Al, and Leah. And we have some new characters that aren't represented here. I would love to hear about you guys, where you're at. And also I'd love to know where you guys specifically would like to have your communication board created. Now we have people joining us from Portland, Oregon, and North Carolina. I wanted to know if you guys wanted to put it in a school or at a playground. So share with me where you'd like so that I can tailor the presentation to you guys. In the meantime, I want to share the agenda for today. We talked about the introductions. I'm going to share steps to building a communication board. I'm going to talk about advocacy, about Smarty Symbols boards, fundraising, customizations, the process. And at the end, you guys are welcome to ask questions. If at any point you guys have questions, you're welcome to use the Q&A. There's a Q&A button where you can type up the question, and I'm the only one who gets to see them, and I get to answer them here. Now, we had attendees who are not speech pathologists, and they're not experts in communication, but they have an interest in creating a communication board for their community or their school. So the first step is thinking about visual support. Visual support is something that helps us identify and attach meaning to language. If you're traveling to China, for example, you don't speak or read Chinese, it'd be hard to find a restroom in a place like this where you can't read what it's at. But if you see that image for a restroom, you know exactly what it is and what people usually do is, and that's what you're looking for. So visual support helps us gain information. It's much better to see a picture of a plane on the way to the airport, especially when we're late, than try to read the whole word airport, especially if we're overseas. Now, when you think of commonly recognized visuals, these are some symbols that are used in airports. And as I looked through them, I was able to recognize all of them. I did not create them. These are international symbols. So just take a few seconds, go through them and see how many you can identify. There are a total of 45 signs here. The whole point of this is to tell you that symbols should clearly represent that they mean and they are attempting to represent. And this is what we do through a communication board. Kids are able to express their needs, their communication intent by pointing to pictures that clearly depict what they want to represent. And Smartest Symbols is able to do that with now a communication board that we have designed for you. Communication boards help with inclusion, communication, which is a given, awareness of communication differences and neurodiversity, also for learning. I will share with you guys that I had an opportunity to advocate about communication boards in my community. And I got to talk to them about the fact that communication boards aren't just for individuals who communicate differently. Even any child that is learning to read can benefit from pictures and attached to words. They will benefit from using a less threatening mode of communication. So I was able to showcase the community that are more benefits besides inclusion, communication, and doing the right thing to all the kids who attend to go to the playground, just like ramps. Ramps are built for, as part of the law, for wheelchair. We all love going up on ramps instead of not chairs, steps. So when you're thinking about building a communication board, your first step is finding a location. Is it at a school, at a church, at a community playground, at a splash pad, at an aquarium? And after that, having in mind things that we typically do at those locations, you then identify the vocabulary. Then you identify images to go with each vocabulary. Now you have to license these symbols or pictures. You think about language considerations. If I'm in Texas with a really large Spanish-speaking population, so the communication boards that are added in my community was a bilingual board. Then we're thinking about determining the parts of speech so that we can do the appropriate color coding. I'm going to go into that. Then you think about instructions. You determine a size and material. You do some researching of your local printing companies. You think about funding, fundraising, installation materials, and actually finalizing with the installation. Now, this process is why most people never get to finalize putting a communication board in the playground. And this is where we decided to step up and bridge that gap. Now, the information I'm going to be giving you today will allow you to take and go out and create your own communication board however you want. At the end, I'm going to show you how I can facilitate this process with a new product that we launched to make this process hassle-free for you. When thinking about locations, even though we typically see them in public playgrounds or school playgrounds, there are plenty of other places and spaces for communication boards: a splash pad, a water park, museums, speech therapy rooms, waiting rooms, school hallways, literally everywhere where kids need to communicate. Now I'm going to check my chat and see somebody wanted to, Tammy, you wanted to put it at a school in North Carolina. So as I go through, I'd love to also know if you guys have already thought through the process of knowing more, how far along you are. Now, here's a step 2, identifying the vocabulary. There are some things called core vocabulary. These are a term used for a set of words that are used most frequently in oral and written language. And here are some examples. But now I put a photo here of a fridge, and there is this drink here, which is a drink that you would find in my refrigerator. And for us thinking of vocabulary beyond core vocabulary, it doesn't include that drink because it's something my family drinks. Now, when you think there are location-based vocabulary that aren't necessarily part of core vocabulary that you identify based on the location. So when you're doing this personalization of the boards, the word swing would be a word that you would include in the playground, but you wouldn't include it on a splash pad or at a dog park. The word tour could be a word for a museum, but not at a playground. So different places have different word needs. Now, when you think of the images, of the vocabulary, you'd have a list of words. And you could come up with a set of words with just 10 words, a board that has 40 words, 80 words, or even 112 words. Then after that, you get to set to create, to find the images. Where are you going to get the images? Are they going to be Google images? Are you gonna have to track down the copyright owners and request copyright and request permission to utilize those symbols. I cannot emphasize how important it is. We at Smarty Symbols make sure that you are required to messages and request permission and have a license to create communication board and put it on a playground if you're going to do this on your own. But even if you're getting this from other symbol sets, symbol makers, or images from Google, you have to find the person who is the owner of that right, of those image right, and request permission in order to print and display these images in a public space. Now, when you think of these images, make sure you have whatever image you create and you decide to utilize, make sure that you have appropriate representation. And it's something that I truly believe in, and this is a core part of my business. We know that diversity is more than skin shades and skin tones, which is why Smarty Symbol stands out from the other symbol sets. Representation and visual support gives student a mirror and a window is actually to a world where we all exist. It's actually a mirror and or a window. For some students, it's a mirror. For some students who are not in a diverse community, it gives them a window to a different world. Thinking about linguistic considerations, these are the different languages that are beyond Spanish that are most spoken in different states. So when you're creating a board, make sure you consider making it a bilingual board based on your current needs for the students and families and children and users who are going to be accessing this board. Make sure you look up the linguistic makeup of the community, hire a translator, or work with a coworker for that. Now, thinking of parts of speech, this is another thing you have to think about. A is one option and B is another option. With A, you are able to have all the images and there's no coloring. Now, research shows that kids who identify images much faster when they have a color background. And for that, you need to associate them with the parts of speech using something. You can make a pick from one of the coloring, I'm blanking on the word. One of the coloring schemes, it is not even the word I'm looking for. The modified Fitzgerald key, which is what we use with Smarty Symbols. You can see the verbs are green. You have adverbs brown. And then you have pronouns and adjectives here in different colors. Then you're going to go on into writing instructions so that people who are seeing this board, and you're not going to be there, they can read and learn what this communication board is about or how to utilize it. If you are creating a board for a school, your instructions will probably be for other students and for teachers. If you're doing this for a playground, then your instructions are going to be to families and kids. These cuties here are my own children, and we donated this board to their first school. They both were in a preschool program for children with disabilities, and we got to create this board and donate it to that program. Now, here are the big designs. So we had the list, we chose the pictures, we translated the words. Now we put it all together in this nice design. You see the title of the school, the icons organized in a certain area, the instructions. You hire a graphic designer and he'll put it all together for you. Now this board, a board that is this big, you require about 10,000 pixels. Now, I want you to keep that in mind so that you know that this is not something that you can create like a PowerPoint presentation, because it needs a really high resolution to be able to print at this type of size. Excuse me. Now, when you think about materials, wood, metal, plastic, these are some of our materials that we use. Now, we've seen that people could use vinyl in some other less outdoor materials, so it won't last as long as these other materials, but I've seen them available as well. One of the hardest things in you taking on this process is actually finding a company to print. Now, when it comes to advocacy, if you are, I only had one person comment that they wanted in a school. So for the school, so this here was me advocating for a community playground communication board. With that, I had to convince city council members to pay for a board to be printed. Now, if you're in a school, you're going to be advocating with your principal or with a special education director to designate funds for you to create that board. Now, that was a lot, I know. So what I want to show you is that usually I've had a lot of people who want and have an idea of what they want to do, but that process is so tiring and exhausting that the board never comes to fruition. So we have handled all the previous steps and made it a process 1 to 3 step for you. If you go to playgroundcommunicationboards.com, we now not only have boards that you can choose from, you can customize them very easily. You will love the different boards that we have. This here is our communication board for our community. Here is the English only city playground board. You will see that it has instructions. It has the city location. It has a QR code where parents can download a copy of this board on their phone. It has correct copyright information here. The color code has been done. Then here we have a bilingual board, a English only words board with bilingual instructions. And then finally, we have a fully bilingual board with text in English and Spanish, instruction in English and Spanish. Now, all of our boards, they show the city and state, they have a title. They use Smarty symbols for symbol of choice. They have letters and numbers. They have instructions. And the special thing is we have an area where you can display your own logo or the logo of community partners that paid for this board. So once you place in the order, you can mark that you do want to include logos. You place an order with us and send those logos to us, and our designer will include those logos here. So the people who funded the community partners that funded your board can get recognized. Now, our team has determined appropriate vocabulary, selected appropriate images, determined the best material, made sure our boards are diverse and inclusive, researched the best strategy presentation for these images, translated out all of our vocabulary. We have a graphic designer in-house, and we have brochures with installation instructions for you. So we are going to assist you through the entire process from ordering all the way through installation and more. Now, here are the boards that we created for the schools. The instructions are specific to the school setting. The vocabulary is also specific to the playground or indoor setting, because we have 2 different boards, one for indoor in the schools, which could be used in a hallway, and one for the playground in the school. This here is our English only school board. Look at how beautiful it is. You have the option to customize with your school colors. So you saw that the one that I donated to our neighborhood school, it was green because Gators is their main logo. Green, the whole school color is green. So you can select your school colors. You have the school name that we insert. If you want to, you can insert your school logo. We don't have it on this one, but on our designer is able to also insert your school logo here. This is our bilingual instructions board, and this is our fully bilingual school outdoor board. It looks amazing. I'm going to check my Q&A just to make sure I haven't gotten any questions. So no questions so far. Oops. And this here is our indoor core vocabulary board. It has 112 words. It is the most comprehensive board that we have because it includes a lot of your core vocabulary word. And this board could be appropriate for a speech pathologist room, for a hallway, for an entryway in the school, so that kids can have access to their communication anywhere. Here's our pricing structure. We have wood and plastic and aluminum. Now, the wood and plastic, they're both really appropriate materials for your outdoor boards. Our price starts at $1,200 for a medium board, the large board $1,450, and the extra large board is $1,740. Now, the aluminum is only available for indoors because outside it gets hot and the aluminum wouldn't be appropriate. But you can get the aluminum for starting at $1,000. Now, just to give you some reference, this here is a large plastic board. These boards are designed to last you over 5 years, even in harsh weather, if you don't take it down. Now, this school here, they said they're removing these in the summer. We're in Texas, really hot. School isn't going to be used. So they're going to bring it in for those summer months and put it back out when school returns in the fall. This board could easily last 10 years or more. Now, here's some of the customizations. When you're on the website, which is what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to go to the website. So this is the website here, and I can go to the shop, or I can just scroll down and see the designs. So if I go to select my options, we tell you the text that is on the board. You can say, I want a plastic board, size medium, and I wanted a Spanish instruction or fully bilingual. I don't want to include any logo, and here are your color options. But if you have a different color, you're welcome to message us and work with our team. Now I'm going to talk about some specific and really cool customization services that we have. I know that many playgrounds, especially the playgrounds that are adapted, they have really unique play areas. Our team has the capacity to create unique symbols for your unique playground. This here is one of the playgrounds for a communication board that we created. And so look at this. Our team was able to create icons specifically for each of these areas so that kids can see the items that they have in that particular playground. And there was a lot more. This here ended up having 11 different areas, 100% custom to this particular playground. We have a customization fee of per up to 5 words, and then all the way up to 10 icons. Here's our 8-step production process. So if you're interested in working with us, the first thing you need to do is identify the locations. For bigger parks, you may need 2 boards. Then we work with you in determining what kind of customization you want. Do you want to add any logo? Do you want to create custom icons? You submit your order to us. If you're in a school, you send in a purchase order. You submit your materials, your school logo, your partner logos if you have one. We'll send back a proof for you. If you approve the proof, then you send it back. It says approved. You submit payment, and we begin production. Once we receive payment, between the moment you receive payment to the moment you receive your product, typically it lasts about 7 days, 7 business days. So you can have your board really fast. Now, speaking of fundraising, I know that we have somebody in the schools. I don't know the other people, if there's anybody here interested in raising funds for your local playground. Some ideas that we have is you can go to GoFundMe Indigo or Fund My Classroom. Partner with local businesses. The businesses, especially pediatric businesses, go to a pediatrician office and say, we have a communication board. Each of these offices can donate $500, and all of a sudden you have your $2,000 or so they would cost you to build this board. You would have their logo and it would be advertised directly to their customer base, which is families, parents of young children. And there's a lot of resources within your community too. I myself had posted a conversation about this within my neighborhood, and families got interested. Businesses were very interested in funding some boards for the different playgrounds in my area. You can petition with parent-teacher organizations. So if you're in a school, you can ask the PTA to purchase these boards. There's also a lot of service organizations that you can request funds for. And here I want to share with you guys an opportunity. We are also launching a support for any, I'm blanking again on the name, but if you decide to create a GoFundMe account, we work with you, we'll send you an estimate of the board, your final invoice, we'll send you a picture so that you can create your GoFundMe or whatever other company you're using. And we'll actually post your campaign on our website. This is something brand new. If any of you are interested, I'm going to be sharing with you guys an email of somebody you can contact within my team, which is Remy. She will assist you with that process to get your board funded. I talked about advertising services for your local clinics. Now here's the final step. You guys might have seen how much this is such a heartwarming news. The boards that we've installed in the past, all of them got news coverage. So if you're trying to get this for your city, this is a great way to convince your city mayor or your city council members to invest in inclusion, because it's going to generate incredibly positive news to your town. Now we have a lot of help available. You can reach us at hi@smartysymbols.com or rsalami@smartysymbols.com. She's our sales director for the particular program, and she is more than happy to help you guys. We also have an installation guide that we can email you guys. If you don't decide to go through us, we can still send you this material. We just ask that you email Remy for the link to download. We talk about the wood backing, which setup is appropriate for which time, the height, appropriate size. People think that bigger boards are better. Not necessarily. We have a magic number that we came up with so that kids aren't moving and they're able to access all of those words. And this brings me to the end of this presentation. What I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to type in on the chat some links so that you guys can have in some emails so that you guys can have that information for you guys to contact us. So here is how you can reach us for any of the opportunities that I've talked about today. hi@smartysymbols.com. I actually posted to host and panelist only, so you guys can't see. Let me try that again. hi@smartysymbols.com.